Hey everybody, it's Jade Simmons. I'm so excited to be with you today. I want you to come on in. I know that everybody's always saying, we're supposed to wait around and pretend like we're busy and keep you waiting, but I really want to start on time. So I'm excited, so excited to be bringing you the first episode ever of Get Your Designer Life. My name is Jade Simmons. I am a classical concert pianist, a powerhouse speaker, a minister, an author, webcast host, lots of other things. But tonight I am talking about one of my favorite topics, which is living the life that you're designed to live. So come on in. If you know people that should be watching, need to be watching, swipe, do whatever you do, let them know. But I want to jump right in. So first, what I really need to do is make sure that I explain to you what the heck a designer life is. So the name of the series is Get Your Designer Life. It's not just Get Your Life, right? So what I really mean is that I believe that from the moment we get here on this earth, there is a life that we are designed to live. And there is also a life that we get to play a part in designing. I think that for the most part, most of us will live and die, unfortunately, without ever becoming the largest version of ourselves possible. So my job is to activate you into becoming your biggest self. So those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Jade Simmons. We're about to hop right into episode 1 of Get Your Designer Life. And I want to know, I'm not going to be able to respond to all of your comments. Hey, Mayan, but I want to know, how do I know you? So as you come in, let me know how we know each other. Some of you I may know right away. Some of you I might have spoken at your commencement, or maybe I came to your conference or your convention and met you there. Let me know, because part of the reason I'm doing this is because when I'm on stage speaking somewhere, it's awesome. For like 45 minutes, I get to pour into people and inspire them and motivate them and activate them. And then I'm gone, right? And usually from the moment I walk off the stage, and then for days after, I'm constantly getting all this new stuff that I wish I could share with them, that's being downloaded into me. And so part of the reason for doing this series, hey, Pastor Clark, hey, Phyllis, part of the reason for doing this series is to make sure that the new stuff, the new bread, right? The new manna, revelation, inspiration that's coming to me every day, I can continue to bring to others. So I'm so excited for you to be joining in. We're going to be here every Sunday for the next 2 months, August and September, every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. CST. And I'm excited to bring you topics that I feel people either, 1, don't talk about enough, hey Jada, or 2, don't talk about honestly enough. So I want you to feel like I'm giving you the real deal, and I want you to feel like what I'm saying is for you. And I also want you to believe, like I do, that there are no coincidences. I feel like each of us are born in a way that our voices are literally tuned to a certain frequency, and that there are ears out there that are designed to hear from us. And so I believe that the people who are tuned into me know deep down that they're supposed to be, if they aren't already, affecting the world in a major way. Behind me is the world map. And that's because I believe we're supposed to keep a global perspective. We're not supposed to let the world happen to us. We're supposed to happen to the world. So I want to jump right in. First, let me explain what a designer life really is. There's a word that has been taught to you, and you have begun to hold on to that word. And I think it's an overused word now. And I think that word has become an excuse not to move. That word is stuck. If I hear one more person say or declare, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here's what I believe. You're never stuck. You're never stuck. You are only being divinely stalled. And what I mean is that if you can understand that if there's a time where your momentum has slowed down, it's not because you are a bad person or because you don't get life or you're bad at what you're trying to do. Your purpose, your reason for existence, the big vision on your heart is so important that it is worth slowing you down so that you don't rush into the wrong thing, so that you don't fumble the breakthrough that's been handed your way. So if you're feeling stuck, I want you to reframe that right away. I don't use that word. You're only being stalled long enough to figure out where you're trying to go. Now, one of the major things that will get you stuck, will leave you in a stalled position, is attitude. Now, I know some of you know about attitude. So I'm going to be talking tonight about 5 major attitudes that you need to run from like the plague. And when we're talking about attitude, what we're really talking about is a shift you're going to have to make. And that's a shift in mindset. I believe in teaching people to see things differently. And I know we get tired of hearing people say, think differently, think outside of the box, without actually telling you how to do it. So I'm here to tell you how to do it. So we're going to be talking about how to manage attitude in yourself and in others. So designer life, in that world, there's no stuck. Stuck is not an option. You're actually living the life you were designed to live, that God has designed for you. And you get to play a role in how that life plays out. You get to make some critical choices about how to be on purpose and in purpose in your life. That's exciting to feel like you're a part of the design. Now, one of the things you're going to hear all the time are there are going to be all these gurus who want to tell you how to live based on their template. They're going to say, if you just do exactly what I did, in 3 months tops, you're going to be a millionaire. If you just live exactly like I live, you will be able to have it all. I don't promise any of that stuff. What I promise is to be able to help you find out how you were designed to live. I think that instead of putting on other people's templates, we're supposed to be about the business of digging up our original blueprint. So in a designer life, you go by your blueprint. There's no living by chance. There's no living from circumstance to circumstance. Your day job is your dream job, even if it isn't, because you learn to live in a way that there's satisfaction right where you are, but also a dissatisfaction that helps you get to where you need to go next. Hey, everybody coming in. Hey, Jennifer Cotto, one of my Miss America sisters is there. How are you? Miss Iowa, former Miss Iowa, is tuning in. It's exciting for me to see so many of you that I do know and others that I haven't heard from in a while. So if you're tuning in, make sure you let me know who you are, how I know you, so I can get to know you even better. Estoy aquí. I see you, Mayan. So here's what we're talking about, is what a designer life really is. In a designer life, battles, anybody having battles? Battles always lead to breakthrough. Elevation is always imminent. Anybody want that life? I mean, can you imagine that when you're going through trials, you have an instinctive knowledge that is going to lead to something? Yeah, that's what a designer life is. Nothing really throws you anymore because you get where stuff is coming from. There are going to be new stages that are constantly presenting themselves to you. My career is mostly spent on stages, so I know a little bit about preparing for stages and being able to arrive and own them every single time. In a designer life, this is your bigger, better, bolder, braver, the bravest version of yourself that unfortunately I think a lot of people never reach. And so my job is to help you get there. I feel like, why settle for any lesser version? So we're going to jump right in. Tonight's episode is about how to manage attitude, yours and theirs. Now, when we talk about managing attitude, here's what I'm really talking about. I'm talking about not letting people push you out of your purpose. I'm going to say that again. Managing attitude is about not letting people push you out of your purpose. You would be shocked and dismayed to find out how many times in your life you have allowed other people to push you out of your purpose. This is serious business for me. Purpose is my soapbox. And I feel like nobody talks about purpose like I talk about purpose, because I was put here on this earth to talk about purpose. It's a bold statement, I know, but it is something I feel so passionate about. You see, when you're designing your life, you get to decide how to be and how to react. That's what an attitude is, right? You get to make those decisions in advance, so the chances of you being derailed on your journey are less and less as time passes. The world is not happening to you, you are happening to it. And it's happening in a way that you choose based on your God-given talents, skills, abilities. You see, when you allow attitude to manage you, what's happening is that you're suffering under the weight of attitude. If you're suffering under the weight of anything, it's going to cause you to be slow. And those of you who know me know that I love speed. I like to do everything quickly. I want everything to happen yesterday. I'm an divinely impatient person. And so I'm always looking for ways to move faster. So I'm going to cover 5 major attitudes tonight that if you don't address them now, they're going to cost you the opportunity to walk more powerfully in your purpose. So I want to be clear before I move on. Some of the things I'm going to say are going to hurt a little bit. That's good, right? We need a little pain sometimes to get where we're going. When I say that I don't want you to let people push you out of your purpose, I am definitely talking about other people, but I am also talking about you. We want to make sure that you are not the reason things get off track. All right, so I want to be clear about that. We don't want you to derail you. You should know that usually we are the most potent opposition to our own destiny and dreams. So I like to make sure that that's not the case. All right, so we're going to move on right now to the first attitude. When I say attitude, I'm talking about the way that you think, the way that you react. I am also talking about the posture, the way that you carry yourself under the weight of an attitude. You all know a person with attitude when they come towards you. You can see it a mile away that they've got attitude. Whether or not it's good or bad attitude, you can see it a mile away. So I'm going to be helping you detect some of those attitudes, and I'm going to let you know what's really behind those attitudes, which is really one of the most important things you can know is, why am I feeling this way? Why are people coming at me like this? And then at the end of the night, I'm going to tell you how to carry yourself in a way where people don't bring mess to you. Okay, did y'all see my picture this week advertising this episode? There's a way you can look, a way you can talk, a way you can behave where people do not bring mess your way and they understand you are not the person to be messed with. And we're going to all do that in a nice way. You're not going to have to be mean about it, okay? Hey, Jim, I see you there. Hey, Robert, glad to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We are talking about the 5 major attitudes that you've got to avoid like the plague. First attitude. Now, I know I'm not talking to any of you out there, but if I am, you can tell me amen or ouch or whatever it is. The first attitude you have to avoid is an attitude of hypercritical behavior. I'm not talking to any hypercritics out there. If you ever have somebody else come to you and they're being hypercritical of you, let me tell you what that's about. If someone is bringing you hypercritical, what it is it's an effort to curb your enthusiasm. It is a way to demean you. It is a way to undermine your authority. And it's also a way to make you doubt the accomplishments you've had to date. Okay, so when somebody comes at you with a hypercritical attitude, here's what it really means. It doesn't mean that you're not doing stuff right. Usually when they're being hypercritical, meaning nothing you do is right, the reason that attitude is coming to you is to give you the hint that you are actually onto something. What it really means is that you might be moving so fast and having so much unexpected success that that person doesn't know what to do with you. They don't know what to do with you, so they have to throw you attitude. You see what I'm saying? Because hypercritical behavior is very effectively ineffective, right? It helps you be very ineffective. If you notice that you have hypercritical attitude towards yourself, here's what you're subconsciously doing. You're subconsciously telling yourself that it's okay to delay. Hypercritical behavior in you allows you to delay yourself, right? It tells you that you can deem yourself or your work not good enough or unworthy. And then it gives you a valid reason to abort your mission. Sneaky. It's a sneaky attitude. See, secretly, your smallest self is worried that your biggest self is delusional. Do you hear me? Your smallest self is secretly worried that your biggest self is delusional. So it will do whatever it has to do to protect you from failure. A hypercritical attitude is the best way to get you to stop going into uncharted territory. It's the best way to make you doubt the quality of their work. Why is that effective? It's effective because you love excellence. You might even be a perfectionist. So what's the best way to slow a perfectionist down is to make them think that they've got stuff wrong and that they are not doing things perfectly. See, you pride yourself on not doing shoddy work, on not giving up. So in order to look responsible, instead of looking chicken or instead of quitting, you take a self-critical, a hypercritical posture, and you give yourself a reason to slow down and a reason to not even give birth to your creative baby in the first place. That's how dangerous a hypercritical attitude is. So remember, if it's coming at you, first thing you have to do from someone else, if it's coming at you, is let's be honest, you got to ask yourself, am I doing something that needs some improvement? Is there some validity, some truth in this criticism? Most of the time when it's hypercritical, meaning that they're judging everything and taking a list of everything they think you're not doing right, that usually is more about them than it is about you. So remember, when you're getting hypercritical behavior towards you that doesn't seem deserved, you know that your work is excellent. Usually what that means is that that person is insecure, that the awesome work you're doing is about to be praised, or it's about to be recognized, or it's going to cause so much momentum that you zoom past them. So the only way for them to slow you down is to throw you critiques that might cause you to doubt where you're going. That's the first major attitude that you want to get rid of. Hey, everybody who's coming in, amen. I know it, Diana. I told you, give me an amen or let me know if it's hurting a little bit, because if you're getting an ouch, that's a good thing. It means that you're going to be able to correct the behavior that might have been slowing you down. All right, major attitude number 2. We're talking about getting you to live a designer life, the life that you can design based on an original blueprint that was created for you. That's your best, biggest, boldest, bravest life. And these attitudes, these 5 of them we're going to name, are some of the weights that keep us down. I know mine. This hurt me to read and write. When I was writing this, I had to say ouch a few times, because these are attitudes that are not just going to go away overnight. We have to systematically slay them over and over again. Here's attitude number 2. I expect to see a lot of ouches on this one. This is a word that I think we've begun to embrace too much. This is an attitude of stubbornness. Stubbornness. All right, there's good stubborn, right? Persistent, relentless. The person has stick-to-itiveness. They don't give up. That's good stubborn. But I'm talking about bad stubborn, which means an inability or an unwillingness to change. Here's the reason we stay stubborn. We stay stubborn because we're trying to avoid making a hard but crucial change. It's not your life, Diana, not stubbornness, if that's what you're talking about. We're going to make sure that's no longer your life. I'm going to give you something that's painful to hear. This is a chain reaction that happens when you stick with stubbornness. I love to teach people about chain reaction, because chain reaction usually starts with an emotion or an attitude and leads to some very avoidable circumstances. So I'm going to give you the chain reaction that happens from stubbornness. Come on in if you're just joining. We're talking about the 5 major attitudes. We are on number 2, Carla, which is stubbornness. Here's the chain reaction. So I'm going to read this because I don't want to miss one of these links here. I want you to see how dangerous an attitude of stubbornness is. Stubbornness prevents crucial change. The absence of the crucial change prevents a successful outcome. The prevention of the successful outcome delays your big break. The delay of your big break demoralizes you. The demoralization stifles you and creates doubt about your goals. That doubt about your goals and that demoralization creates a detour. The doubt and the delay of your other goals makes you mad at God for giving you the big dream. Some of you are like, I don't even believe in God. Okay, you don't believe in God? That same demoralization makes you mad at yourself for having the big dream in the first place. That madness causes you not to believe anymore in any of the dreams that you have. The disbelief causes you to quit trying. The quitting causes you to lose sight of purpose. The loss of purpose causes you to feel empty. The emptiness causes you to feel depressed. The depression makes it difficult to even desire to do anything of significant meaning ever again. The world then misses out on what only you are designed to offer. Boom. You probably forgot that that chain reaction started from stubbornness in the first place. Stubbornness is a deadly attitude. Deadly attitude. People brag about being stubborn. It's not anything to brag about. It is not an admirable trait. You have to desire to be on purpose and in purpose more times than not. Here's the biggie. You have to desire to see the change you're supposed to be bringing to others more than you desire not to change. Does that make sense? That one is a tricky one because a lot of times, especially those of you who are leaders, you will experience a stubborn attitude coming from other people. Now, your reaction is going to be to call out that stubbornness, right? It's going to frustrate you. Might even make you quit because they're being stubborn. Don't do it. Let me tell you what stubbornness is in other people. It's the same thing. They don't want to have to commit to what change is going to require. So you can either go toe to toe with them about being stubborn, or you can figure out a way of how to make that change so attractive, so desirable, they will desire the change more than they desire staying the same. You see, we get so comfortable with being the same that we prefer status quo, even if it's an unhealthy status quo, that we prefer the change. Those of you who know what it's like to have a health issue, you'll get a prescription for what you have to do to be healthier. And if it's too hard to commit to, sometimes we'll just stay unhealthy because we're used to it. That's a bad habit that we have to break, and it's an attitude that we don't have to accept. Those of you just joining, we've covered 2 major attitudes. Hey, Connie! 2 major attitudes that we have got to get from under. And what I mean from under is that attitude can serve as a weight on your shoulders. I'm built for speed, and I like talking to people who like to do things quickly whenever possible. So I'm always looking for ways to move faster. You can't run fast, you can't sprint with weights on your shoulders. And so these 5 attitudes, think of them as weights that we're alleviating tonight. Yes, if you're enjoying this, hey Trey, come on in. If you're enjoying this, share it. Because people are suffering under the weight of these attitudes. And many of us always recognize the attitude in other people and rarely recognize the attitude in ourselves. So we're talking really not just about attitude. We're talking about how not to let people push you out of your purpose. Talk about being transparent tonight. Leave every weight aside. That's exactly right. I have been dealing with this issue myself, where I almost let some people push me out of my purpose. Here's what's so hilarious about that. You can cop an attitude towards people that you feel have done you wrong, and you can stew on that thing and wonder why they're acting that way. And if you miss the opportunity to literally, the way that I pray is when I'm in the middle of conflict, I say, God, now you and me both, we know I'm right. But show me where I'm wrong, because I'm not going to be able to fix what's wrong with the other person anyway. So let me spend my time finding out what it is that I need to change in order to deal with what's coming at me from these other people. When you spend all your time holding on to this attitude, whether it's a validated attitude or not, what's so hilarious is the people you're usually feeling a certain type of way about, they're usually not even knowing that you feel that way towards them. They're usually not losing any sleep over the issue. Has anybody ever noticed that? Hey, Rhonda. They usually are just moving on with their lives, and you're the one staying stuck under the weight of the attitude. So we've talked about a hypercritical attitude, and we've talked about a stubborn attitude. Remember, attitudes are not just how you think. They are literal postures that you carry. And if you get too used to wearing these attitudes, to carrying these postures, they become your identity. Instead of someone saying she's acting stubbornly today, they say she's a stubborn person. Hey, Melissa. Instead of people saying, man, she is having a little period where she's being hypercritical. No, they'll say she's a hypercritical person. Stay away from her. Those attitudes, our emotions are not meant to be our identity. They're supposed to serve a purpose, clue us in as well to certain areas that need attention, and then we're supposed to move on from them. Okay, so we're going on to number 3. This is another ouchie. We've covered hypercritical attitude, stubborn attitude. The third major attitude you have got to avoid like the plague is jealousy/comparison. Jealousy/comparison. All right, let's cover it in other people first because it's easier to talk about other people being jealous, right? Here's what's rooted in other people's jealousy towards you. They think you don't deserve something based on merit. They don't think that you've earned it somehow, right? Or they think, and this one gets my goat every time, they think it's not your time, that you're cutting in line in front of them. They might also feel like they are equal or even superior to you, and they don't understand why you're so far out in front of them. Anybody experience any of this jealous attitude towards yourself? People who experience jealousy, they often don't understand how purpose works. They don't get it. So they haven't uncovered the original blueprint for their own lives, so they keep comparing their lives to those who seem to have more of what they want for their own lives. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. You've been there. You're not the only one, Connie. We have all been jealous. Let me tell you what. When I find out or realize that someone is jealous of me, I'm not proud of that. I actually feel very badly for them. And I pray in a way that says, God, help them see how they were made. Let them know that they could never be me and I could never be them. And we thank you for that. We thank you for that. Look, Diana, you're not the only one. Many of us work with people like this, and they wear a posture of jealousy. It's like they can't help but hate on you. But see, I believe you don't really recognize haters. You don't recognize them. What happens is when someone comes that way, you have to let that wash off. You don't engage. You don't agree with the spirit of jealousy they're bringing. You don't try to make them more jealous. You just keep doing you. What's more important here is for you to address jealousy within yourself. Here's how you quell it. Simple question to ask yourself. Have I walked in their shoes? Have I sacrificed the exact same things? Do I know what it has taken, what pain they have experienced, what trials they have gone through to get where they are? Am I even built exactly like them? Am I supposed to have what they have? Have I put in as many years or have I had as much experience to get where they are? And would I even actually enjoy living their everyday life? You know, some of the people we get jealous of, if we had to walk out their life, we wouldn't want it. We wouldn't want to touch it with a 100-foot pole. Yet we find ourselves jealous of it. So when you find yourself jealous, don't agree with the jealousy. When I say don't agree with it. So I like to imagine these attitudes as like emotions, these kind of spirits that float around us, right? So you'll have an opportunity for the spirit of hypercritical behavior to come and rest beside you. You know those illustrations with like the angel and the devil, right? So hypercritical attitude will come by and will say, hey, let's be hypercritical today. And you can look it in the face and agree, and then it becomes a part of you. Or you can say, nope, I'm not having that today. I'm not going to feel that today. And then it goes away, right? Same with jealousy. Jealousy will come and it'll sit on you. And you have the opportunity to wallow in it, to accept it and receive it, or to push it away. So what happens is when you feel jealousy, you have to ask yourself, what am I really lamenting? What am I really lamenting? Maybe it's that, this is going to hurt. Maybe what's really bugging you when you're jealous is that you sort of know that you haven't done as much as that person has done to get where they are. You haven't done as much in your life to get where you want to be. Did I step on your toe? I stepped on my own toe just now. Whenever I feel a passing emotion of jealousy, usually I haven't done everything I need to do. So it's an easy fix. When you're feeling jealousy and you realize it's because you haven't done as much as that person has done to get where they want, as you need to do to get where you need to go, easy fix. do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. If you spent the energy it took to get you where you need to go, you will not have time to even notice what other people are doing. Can I get a witness on that one? I'm gonna tell you what, when I'm in my grind season, I like to live life in seasons, that's another episode, but when I'm in my grind season, which is pretty much August to October, which is I am off limits to the world, I am getting my stuff together, I don't know what anybody's doing. I don't know what anybody else is launching. I don't know what anybody else is going through because I am sequestered in my purpose during that season. Okay? So you're going to do what you need to do. And maybe sometimes jealousy really is that you're feeling ignored in your own space, in your own workplace. When you're feeling ignored, you've got to say, have I actually spoken up? Have I actually spoken up? Have I reached out, or have I simply been waiting my turn? A lot of us have been waiting for things that we have already been given permission to take. One more time. A lot of us have been waiting for things that we have already been given permission to take. And so we see other people moving. You see, people who seem like they're cutting the line, they actually haven't been off somewhere slacking, right? Until the moment they appeared. We like to think, oh, that person wasn't doing anything until now. They just popped up and unfairly got to the front of the line. People who seem like they cut the line, they always believe it's their time. They didn't know there was a line in the first place. They didn't know there was a line to wait in. So they just moved, and that movement pushed them to the top. Hence the recognition that you see them getting. You see, people who understand that their purpose has to have movement, they can't stand the thought of sitting or standing still. So they start moving, and sometimes that momentum is so fierce, it pushes them right past the people who've kept their heads down and have been working diligently, but they never spoke up for their purpose. They never claimed that it was their time. So don't be jealous of other people's movements. Instead, create your own momentum. Start moving now. Don't wait around to be heard or to be recognized. Put in the work you know you need to put in, and move towards the work. Move towards the goal. Move towards the recognition. Don't wait on it. All right? If you were just joining, we covered 3 of the 5 major attitudes we have to avoid in ourselves and in others. Okay? And so the reason we're doing this is because we want to make sure that we're not allowing people to push us out of our purpose. And when I say people, I do mean all these people that sometimes try to block us, but I mostly am talking about you, and making sure that you don't allow yourself to derail your purpose-based life, which I like to call a designer life. Hey, Mom. My mother joined us on Facebook Live. She is someone that I have watched and modeled where attitudes are concerned. And so I'm telling you, these are the things that you want to not only learn for yourself, but you want to pass them down. This kind of mindset, when you think of an inheritance that you want to leave to your family, mindset is the best inheritance you can leave. Because even better than money, if you can teach people how to think in a profitable way, they're going to have all the things they're supposed to have. All right. Number 4, attitude. This is a bad one too. They all are bad. But I'll tell you what, this is a big weight. It's a major doozy that you want to get off your back. It is the attitude, really the posture of skepticism. Skepticism about what is possible. Let me tell you what it is when you're sensing skepticism coming from other people. When skepticism is coming to you from other people, what's happening is that we have to make sure what doesn't happen is that you don't buy into other people's skepticism. Because what happens is when you buy into other people's skepticism, it makes you move in a wrong way. It makes you get off course, and it makes you move into prove yourself mode. Prove yourself mode is, you don't want to go there, because that is really like a, what do you call it? The thing, a hamster wheel, right? When you're in prove yourself mode. Because guess what? You can't prove yourself to people who have already predetermined to be skeptical about what you do or who you are. You can't prove yourself to them. So you'll be off track trying to prove yourself, and they're not going to listen anyway. Meanwhile, that energy needed to be going on the thing you were trying to achieve in the first place. Prove yourself mode is pointless. It's energy sapping because, like I said, the person you're trying to prove yourself to doesn't actually care about your outcomes. They just like making you doubt who you are, or they themselves are comfortable always doubting first, right? They take a posture of doubt in anything. Sometimes it's not even meant to be given to you personally. You shouldn't even take their skepticism personally. They just have a habit of doubting being their default mode. Either way, no matter what you do, they're not going to praise you anyway. They're only going to shift their skepticism to a new area of your life. You ever been in that situation where somebody was skeptical, let's say, about how hard you worked, right? So you start working harder and then they're skeptical, well, if she's working that hard, who's taking care of her family, right? So then you go focus on your family and they go, well, if she's focusing on her family, work must be slipping. You see what I'm saying? You're going to go back and forth, bouncing back and forth, trying to prove yourself to people when you need to stay focused on what it is you need to do. Skepticism, really, I want to pause for a moment to kind of soften this blow. We're going to talk now if you're a self-proclaimed skeptic. I've seen people very proudly say, I'm a skeptic, all right? This is going to offend you a little bit. So I'm telling you in advance, do not take offense. Take note. I'm not personally trying to hurt your feelings. I'm personally trying to get you to look deeper into who you are and who you're designed to be. We already know skepticism towards you from others is really not about you. It's about the skeptic's non-belief in their own ability to do the thing that you're trying to do, or it's skepticism about their own ability to do what they really want to do. You don't believe me? You tell a small-minded person about your big vision and see if they're going to applaud the vision and tell you can do it, or if their nature is going to be to give you 100 reasons why it's absolutely impossible. And it's funny when you ask a skeptic how they know that whatever they're saying is impossible, they don't actually have any proof. Or the only proof they have is that they tried it 10 years ago and it didn't work. Let me tell you something. It is a new day every day. The Word of God says that God makes all things new. That means that ideas that didn't work last Monday might work this Monday, or they might work on the first Monday in 2018. But if you're still making your future moves based on past results or worship other people's past results, you're going to miss a moment. So a lot of times skeptics are living in old moments. And if you consider yourself a skeptic, try to find out what old moment, what old failure are you still living in? What's the thing that didn't go right a year ago that makes you afraid to try something new this year? You'll usually always find a root cause of skepticism. But tell you why it's pointless, because you aren't designed to do what everybody else has already done. You're designed to do something new that was created for you. And when a skeptic is looking at you, they're saying, I couldn't do that, so there's no way she could do it. It's wrong judgment. It's the wrong map to even be referring to you. When you do what you said you were going to do, I'll tell you, this is the best defense. This is where all your energy should go. It shouldn't go in doing extra to try to exceed other people's expectations. Your motion has to be about sticking to your plan, not altering it to prove a skeptic right. Hey, Karen, good to see you. When we're talking about the skepticism within yourself, you have to threaten that skeptic, right? Because that part of you really is afraid. They're really already threatened by the possibility of success. And then are you going to be able to handle the success when you get it? And when if you don't succeed, are you going to be able to handle the failure? I want you to understand this. You aren't designed to do you. So the point is moot, right? You're designed to do what God has put you here to do for others. So much of what your purpose about is about serving other people. And when you're skeptical, when your posture and your initial default mode is to doubt yourself or to doubt others, it leaves very small room for expectation, which is really the posture that we're going to talk about at the end of this that you should take. All right? So towards others, you want to not throw your skepticism towards others. Guess why? They have enough on their plate. People out there are trying to make it. They're trying to bring their vision into fruition. They're facing their own doubts. They don't need your skepticism on top of it. You are not only doing a disservice, but you are greatly hindering possibly a solution that the world is waiting on by throwing your skepticism about what somebody else is doing onto their shoulders. Shame on you if you've done that. We probably all have. What you want to do now is to throw support. If you can't throw support, then you throw encouragement. If you can't throw encouragement, then you be quiet. They don't need your skeptical opinion, just like you didn't need theirs in the first place. People are dealing with enough tough stuff as they pursue their dreams. They have enough to tackle. We never want to be a part of weighing down somebody else. And usually if we're feeling skepticism, doubt towards someone else, it's rooted in doubt we have about our own beliefs. And all we have to do is ask God for bigger belief so that we can believe in ourselves enough to have room to believe in other people. Amen? All right. We're going to move on now to, I think this is the final attitude. Let me just do a quick review. If you're just joining in, we've done 5 major attitudes. Watch the replay. Hey, Rick. Watch the replay. Make sure that you share this with people because I know a lot of people are suffering under the weight of these attitudes. And when we discuss managing attitudes, let me just say this. There's a lot to talk about what it means to be a boss, right? And we usually mean about, being on the grind, having to hustle, getting our work done. And nobody likes having those discussions more than I do. But what I'm realizing is boss behavior has more to do with how you manage yourself than how you manage any other entity. People who manage themselves are brilliant bosses because they've done the work to find out how God made them, how they tick, how they're designed to operate and function in this world. So regular people look for opportunities to confront stuff all the time. They look for a fight. They want to confront an attitude. Boss behavior, maverick behavior, whatever you want to call it, that's when people manage stuff before it gets to a level of conflict or confrontation. See what I'm saying? So if we can manage attitudes, that's the highest level of behavior when it comes to being able to self-reflect and then use the information we find out about ourselves to better ourselves and people around us. So we had 5 major attitudes. We're on number 5, but the first one we covered was a hypercritical attitude, which you must get rid of. And when people come to you with their own hypercritical thought, it's not really about you. It's them trying to slow you down. You're moving so awesomely well and so fast that the only way they know to throw you down is to make you doubt the quality of your work. Don't let it happen. Stubbornness was the second attitude. It's not an attitude to be proud of. Be proud of being persistent or relentless or your stick-to-itiveness. Do not be proud of being stubborn. Stubborn means that you are so afraid of change that you are willing to stick with the awfulness that you might be dealing with in status quo. Stubbornness is about not wanting to commit to what it's going to take to change. And usually that change, not committing to that change will set off a long chain reaction. Watch the replay if you didn't hear me go through the long chain reaction. A long chain reaction that usually results in delaying your destiny. The third attitude you want to avoid is jealousy and comparison. I put those two together. Remember, a person who's jealous towards you doesn't understand how purpose works. They spend all their energy comparing themselves to you, which is a waste of time, Quinny. It's a waste of time because they can never be you. Thank God there's not 2 of me. I don't know what this world would do with 2 of me, right? So they waste time trying to be you instead of being who they're designed to be, and I could never be them. So we both be wasting our times being jealous of how somebody else moves. And then if we actually found out what they had to do, what they had to go through, what they had to survive, what they had to sacrifice to get where they are, we would shut our mouths and do the business of doing what we needed to do to get where we wanted to be. Sorry, I'm preaching there. Jealousy is a big one for me. Skepticism about what is possible was the 4th attitude. We just went through that. Don't allow other people's skepticism to stop you. And better yet, don't be skeptical towards other people's work. They don't need your doubt on top of their own insecurities. Just like you don't need other people's unsolicited opinion when you're being about the business of pursuing your purpose. Don't add to the weight of people trying to carry off their own vision. All right, last and definitely not least, The fifth attitude you want to get rid of. This is a hard one. This one is easier said than done. I mean no offense to people who have a valid reason for feeling this attitude. You can feel this attitude. You can deal with it, live with it for a little bit, but you must not live your life in this posture. This is a posture and attitude of mistrust. Mistrust towards people. Mistrust about people. Some of you are going, I have good reason to be mistrustful. I saw on Instagram, it was a post that got a lot of likes, a lot of hearts. You guys loved it. It said, love everyone, trust a few. And people were just amen, amen, amen all over that. Let me tell you why that rubs me the wrong way. I get it. We have been hurt. You have not lived on this earth more than 3 years if you have not yet been hurt, right? If you're alive, you've been hurt. You've been hurt. You pretty much, the rest of the world's population have been hurt. And as long as we live in proximity to other human beings, you will be hurt again. Hey, Ellen, you will be hurt again. And guess what? You're going to do wrong to other people. If you are human, you will do wrong to other people. You will hurt somebody else. So at some point in our lives, since that stuff's going to happen, we have to figure out now how to deal with it. So that means you already know that you can't give your hearts over to everybody. If you've lived long enough, that's common sense. You cannot give your complete heart over to everybody. You can't give the same leeway to everybody. I'm not telling you not to have good judgment. Here's what I'm telling you. You don't need to be told to trust in a few people. If you've been hurt and haven't become more careful in your relationship building, then the onus is on us, right? If we keep getting hurt in the same way, that onus is on us. It's not about people, that's about us. You get that? If we keep getting hurt in the same way, it's not about people, it's about us. I know it doesn't feel good, but when you take a posture of mistrust, what's happening is that you spew. When you give that kind of advice, telling people not to trust, you're spewing that advice into the world. And here's what's happening. Chain reaction here. If you're a mistrustful person and you're spewing mistrust to others, you are causing people to remember how many times they've been hurt. You're causing them to remember by whom they've been hurt, when we should be focusing most of our energy on forgiving and forgetting. Do you hear what I just said? If you are spewing mistrust, you are actually encouraging people to reopen old wounds and live in them. That's bad behavior right there. If you are spewing mistrust, you are stirring up negative and helping to form stone around someone else's heart. Oh my gosh. Do you know how hard it is to keep your own heart stone free? Anybody ever tried that? You live in this world long enough, you watch the news too much, especially right now, some stone will form. And I'm noticing that it is almost a daily job at the end of each night to chisel off a little bit of stone that tried to form. So you don't want to be a part of helping people build stone around their heart. When you spew mistrust, you're making us skeptical. Remember that? And you're making us hypercritical towards new people entering our orbit. You're pursuing your purpose. And if your destiny is what I think it is too big for one person to handle. You can't even chase your destiny on your own. You cannot even carry out your purpose by yourself. That means you're going to need a team. So if you have a posture of mistrust, how are you going to be able to receive the people that are being sent your way to help you walk in your purpose? Oh my gosh. Can you see what I'm saying here? This is serious business. If you, here's one. If you didn't agree with those first 3 reasons about why you shouldn't spew mistrust, here's one. If you spew mistrust, you're telling all your business. When I saw that post last week where someone said, love everyone, trust a few, I instantly knew that person had been hurt. That person had been hurt very deeply. I thirdly, immediately began to doubt if that person was capable of taking people to a new level. Because this person was a coach, right? So if that person is a life coach and they're claiming to help you get out of unforgiveness, to help you get past failure, and they put out a post that tells me to mistrust, I'm skeptical. And I might even become hypercritical about what that person is saying. You see, you have to be so careful about what you say, the words that you put out there, because they are a true reflection of who you are. I'm very mindful of what people say, whether or not they consider themselves to be joking or not, because it really is a glimpse into their heart. And to me, it's a glimpse into how they're going to be able to help me or help others around them, especially if that's the position that they are in my life. We don't want to spew mistrust. We don't want to tell all our business. I know now, like I said, when a person is spewing mistrustfulness that they've been hurt, I might not think they're over that hurt, and I might assume that stuff is blocking them to the point where they can't help me get unblocked, if that's what I'm going to them for. I'm saying these things because I know a lot of you who are watching are also coaches. I'm getting weary of that word. Anybody else? I feel like coach is kind of overused now, and the market is saturated. Everybody and their grandma and their grandma's grandma and their grandma's nephew is a coach. So I think of myself as an activator, right? If you're encountering me, I'm supposed to be making you finally do something you've always been saying you were going to do. I'm making you get up and move. Hey, Kathy, I'm making you do the things that you have been delaying. You might have had good reason to delay, but now that I've pointed out that you've been delaying, you no longer have an excuse. So my job is to activate you. And this mistrust piece is number 5 for a reason. What I want you to understand is that all of these attitudes have a downline of problems that they create. You don't want to be a part of any of that. Why not, instead of mistrusting, I'm ending with this, why not live by this policy instead? Instead of believing we should love everyone and trust a few, why not love everyone and trust everyone until they give you a reason not to? Right? I think Oprah used to say, listen to what people show you about themselves on the first time. Give them the first time and then make a decision. Don't start from an attitude of, I'm not going to trust you until you prove that I can trust you. I'm telling you, you're going to walk through life with more possibility tumbling towards you when you're open that way. Because when you come with a posture of trust, God knows he can trust you with his vision. You're not going to second guess what he's giving you. You're not going to be skeptical about it. You're going to trust that you're hearing from him, trust that people who are coming to you are good people initially until they show you otherwise. You have no idea how much blessing and breakthrough gets blocked because we're harboring bitterness, unforgiveness, skepticism, hypercriticalness inside. Trust that you are smart enough to protect yourself where people are concerned. Trust that if you miss the first cue about somebody, you're going to catch the next one. I've missed the first cue. Have y'all missed some red flags before? I want you to trust that if you miss a red flag, you're going to catch it the next time and you're going to react how you need to react. Trust that people are at least just as good as you. They're just as good as you, or they want to be just as good as you. You must see the good in everyone. Focus on the good. I'm telling you, Connie, it's just a difference of perspective that changes everything. I think when you come with more trust-filled eyes, you actually see clearer because your heart is tuned towards other trustworthy people. So I think you actually spot the riffraff quicker. When you expect that people are coming to you with trustworthiness, you spot the riffraff. I want you to assume that people mean you well, but be ready to act quickly when they show you that they don't. Simple as that. I'm telling you, that will keep the stone off your heart. If the stone is off your heart, it's a soft heart. If you have a soft heart, you're going to be a heart that's tuned towards people. If you're tuned towards people, you're more likely to walk more powerfully in your purpose, because purpose is not about the thing you do. It's about the thing that happens in others when you do what you do. Oh, I didn't mean to make you cry, Connie, but those tears are tears of refreshing Tell you what, tears are signs that we still have a heart that is pliable, that is ready to hear from, I believe, the God that made this incredible blueprint that you should be digging into. There's an original blueprint designed just like you. Love like Jesus loves. I'm telling you what, he didn't walk around worried. He knew who the enemy was, so he didn't assume everybody else was an enemy. I mean, even when he approached people that he knew did not have any love for them, he came at them fully being himself. I'm going to leave you with this final thing. I put, I want you to develop an attitude allergy. Does that make any sense? It's hard enough to keep these attitudes at bay. They're going to come. They're going to come to you. But what you have to do is not surround yourself with negative people who brings these attitudes in your orbit. I said that I would tell you how you can carry yourself in a way where people don't even bring mess to you. Tell you what, it's a few things. I love to talk. But if you talk less, people think that you're listening harder. When they think that you're listening harder, they're more careful about what they say around you. What? Did you get that revelation just now? Talk less. When you talk less in group situations, let's say you're in meetings and conferences, staff meetings, talk less. Because people will assume you're listening harder. If they think you're listening harder, they're more careful about what they say around you. Psh, that's good stuff right there. That was worth the whole show right there. And when you act that way, people are very careful about what they bring to you. I don't use profanity, and I'll notice that my friends or acquaintances that do use it, when they're around me, they'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," or they stop cursing when they're around me. And I tell them, you don't have to change, yourself to be around me. I already know who you are. I love you as you are. But the way you carry yourself makes people change their behavior. And that's a good thing, right? The other thing that you can do to prevent people bringing mess is whenever someone starts gossiping. We're all guilty of spilling a little tea. We all are, right, Daryl? We can, you know what I'm saying? We're all a little guilty of this kind of stuff, right? But be the person that leaves the room when the gossip starts. It's a boss move. It's bold now. You might lose a few friends over it, but I'm telling you, it's boss. When people start gossiping or just talking about other people, leave the room. Leave the room. I travel a lot, and I'll eat by myself in restaurants or whatever. And unfortunately, when I travel, I've noticed this trend. I wish this were a stereotype, but it's happened too many times for it not to be at least a little bit true. When I travel, if I notice that two men are together talking, they're usually talking business. Almost always talking how to make more money. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for tuning in. When I'm with two women, if there are two women, they're not with me. If I just see two women, they are almost always talking about another female. Gets my goat. And if I'm eating by myself and I'm next to women and they start talking really badly about somebody else, I ask for the bill and I leave. I don't know them. I don't know if it affects them, but it makes me feel good to exit stage right. You hear me? When people bring mess, even in your orbit, get out of the way. Check, please. You see what I'm saying? Next time you're in a situation and one of these attitudes rears its ugly head, I'm going to give you a help. And some of you are not bold enough yet to just walk out. You don't want to look rude, right? So if you're in a room where people are exhibiting any of these behaviors, and notice, I want you to take note of how these behaviors feed themselves. Usually if you're in a room and people start talking negatively, everybody joins in a negative way. So if you don't feel comfortable just walking out, I'm going to give you this thing to leave with. This is called the attitude allergy. If you're in a room and people are doing stuff with one of these attitudes and you don't agree and it's getting thick in there, sneeze. Sneeze. Sneeze and tell people, OMG, I'm so allergic to something in here. I got to go find some Kleenex and be out. You're allergic to the attitude. Sneeze and get out. Give yourself a reason to exit. The good thing is you won't be lying. It's a little bit untrue, but you're allergic to what's going on in there. Truthfully speaking, you're trying to leave a toxic environment, and that's okay. We are talking about 5 toxic attitudes that you have to get out from under the weight of. The world is not supposed to weigh on you. You are supposed to weigh on the world. Okay, so I am ending. I don't want to keep you past an hour. You've been watching Get Your Designer Life, which is the life you are designed to live, the life that God has designed for you. Thank you, Mary. Hey, Sandy, we're leaving. I'm sorry you're just now coming in. But those of you who just got in can watch the replay. If you just tuned in, you want to find out how sneezing can help you get out of bad situations. I want you to know more about this designer life that I've been talking about. So please go visit designergrowthclub.com. You're going to find out about something new and exciting that we are creating. Sorry guys, but it's for visionary women. Men who have tuned in, tell your wives, tell your girlfriends, tell your sisters, tell your daughters, because we are looking for a way to really become like a spiritual IV to women on the move. I'm talking about movers and shakers who are multifaceted and they are living an amazing life, but they know there's still a big gap between where they are now and where they are destined to be. And my job, I believe, in this season is to close that gap. So check out designergrowthclub.com, see what we have coming soon, and then tune in next week, next Saturday, for another session of Get Your Designer Life. We'll be revealing the title of next week's episode right away. I hope you've been enjoying it. Thank you, Diana, Connie, Lawrence, I saw you pop in there. Daryl, so great to see you tune in. Hey, Susan, you got in late. Watch the replay, that's okay. Elevated teaching. Thank you so much, Pastor Clark, Phyllis Clark, who are tuning in, 2 of my mentors in the Word of God, especially. I can't hide the fact that I'm going to be coming to you from a faith-based perspective. I'm a Christian. That's not something that I would ever hide. But I feel like what we're talking about is applicable across the board. And I want to always be honest to you about what and who my source is. So if you believe that God has designed you to live a bigger, better, braver, bolder life, then you need to be tuning in every Sunday this time. See you next week. Talk to you guys soon. Hope you've enjoyed. Leave comments. Let me know what you liked and which attitude hurt the most. Have a good night.